Hey guys, my name is Ujjwal. I'm one of the co-founders at Zymrat, and I would like to welcome all of you to another episode of THR Man of the Hour. Through THR Man of the Hour series, we meet and speak with some of the most interesting folks from across the industry, from fitness, lifestyle, health, and different walks of life. And today, the person and the guest that we have on the show is Mr. Rohit Dulal. Rohit has been very, very inspirational for all of us, and we have run a very interesting yoga correctional video campaign with him recently. He has been a regular user of Zymrat as well, and that makes us even more happier. Welcome to the show, Rohit.
Hey, thanks. Thank you so much for having me, Ujjwal.
I'm really glad that we are speaking today.
Likewise. Also, I only wear Zymrat right now. Just to let you know. Not just I love your guys' stuff.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that, man. We have quite a few people who enjoy wearing Zymrat throughout. I mean, even for their non-workout stuff. I have been wearing my Zymrat shorts for the last 2 years. Now I think the new ones are even more lovelier than the old ones. So for those of I'll give a quick introduction about Rohit. Rohit runs a yoga institute out of Pune called as Vinod Dulal Institute, and Rohit himself is a certified yoga instructor. But I think the best man to introduce himself is Rohit himself. So Rohit, please go ahead and tell us about yourself, man.
I run Vinod Dulal Yoga Institute with my father, Vinod Dulal. He's the proprietor of the institute. And so he was a direct student of Iyengar. And after working with him, he started teaching himself. And this institute's been running for 40 years in Pune. And we've collectively taught 50,000 students from around the world. So I am originally from Pune, born and brought up here. I pursued engineering actually as my main academic pursuit. I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering and a master's in material science. And after that, I worked in the US actually for about 4 years. I lived and all my studying was in the US. So I came back last year after 13 years. And now basically to take care of my parents, to be with them, support them. Yeah, along with yoga, I also run an engineering product development startup. So that's me. Yeah.
That is amazing, man. That's why, guys, I told we meet some of the most interesting from folks from across the industry. So now, just by listening to what Rohit just said, he comes from an engineering background. He has done a couple of degrees. He has lived in the US for 13 years. He runs another startup, and now he is running a full-time yoga institute. So that is amazing. I'm clapping in my heart right now, Rohit, for you. That's amazing.
Thank you, Ujjwal.
So I mean, why does it always happen that engineers, both Ankita and myself, we are engineers, and then we took the plunge, and then of course we are doing full-time Zymrat. So and I know a lot of folks from my college, from my friends and my colleagues, ex-colleagues who have taken the plunge and now doing different things, right? I mean, not just a subject matter expert thing, but things which are widely different from us. So we took the plunge and went from IT to fashion and sportswear and athleisure, because fitness was what made us live well and actually drove us to a better life. So we had to do something about it. So this is something which is very, very unique to a lot of engineering folks. So what's your story, Rohit? How did it happen? How did you go from being an engineer to being a yoga guy?
So, well, first of all, engineers make great entrepreneurs, okay? Because we learn all these problem-solving skills, and I think our biggest trait is that we identify problems, right? Because we are just solving them throughout our curriculum. So, and that's what we're looking for in real life, and that's why I guess we make great entrepreneurs. And now, my journey is, so I always knew that I wanted to be self-employed, have my own business. That was always a goal. Maybe the reason being, I guess, that I wanted my freedom. I wanted control of my time, So yoga has always been a part of my life. As I said, my father's a yoga teacher, and I grew up in this yoga institute, in Vinod Dulal Yoga Institute, practicing with the students who used to come here. Practically did it all my life till I left when I was 18 to the US. And I guess for 4 years, I didn't do any yoga, and probably those were the worst few years of my life. And maybe that was actually a rebound for me to get back into yoga. But of course, engineering is also my passion, and was somewhere where I was giving considerable amount of time. And having spent in dollars in the US. I wanted to earn in dollars too. So I took up an engineering job, right? And I worked in medical devices for the last 3.5 years. During this time, yoga was always a part, but it wasn't the focus. You know, it was always there because I used to practice. That's what gave me my energy to go through the day. But then when I finally made all these plans to come back to India, it was because of two reasons. One was because my father has this amazing yoga institute with, like, he has an entirely different way of a different style of yoga, which is not available anywhere else in the world. Okay. Having lived in the US for 13 years, I befriended a lot of yoga teachers, yoga studio owners, and what they teach there, what I've heard from what's being taught in India, he has something special here. And being a full-on yogi and not a business person, he never had a vision of how to continue this. So I wanted to continue it. I wanted to make sure Vinod Dalal Yoga Institute survives, thrives, and grows. But along with that, I also wanted to keep my engineering aspects alive as well. So I came back with a business plan, with a client from the US who was given us our first project, and this is the start of my entrepreneurial journey. It started last year. I literally came back on 14th Feb of last year. The decision was simply, again, just to support the family. There was some personal reason because of which I had to rush back. But everything's fine now. Everything got settled. And in 4 weeks down the line, the world comes to a lockdown. Right? It was such an uncertain time. And I guess we're still in a lockdown in Pune in Maharashtra. I guess life changed as much as it could change within like 4 weeks, when I came to India last year. And that has been a blessing in disguise, right? I got this time at home, so I invested my efforts entirely into yoga at this time. For like 6 months, the engineering was on the side and yoga became the focus. And I built a platform for us. We've gone online, right? As we've been saying, we're teaching students, not just from Pune now, but around the world daily. We have students coming from all the way from the US, Europe, South Korea, Taiwan, so across time zones. And that's been fulfilling. So that's how I got into this part of the journey. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Rohit. I mean, listening to this whole thing. So you guys are taking Vinod Dalal Yoga Institute digital now? I mean, you have an app or something like that?
No, we haven't gone there yet. So our model is very unique. Okay, we believe in personal attention, and so what we did is the first few months when we were doing Zoom classes, like we were teaching on Zoom, we tried to focus on improving our personal attention online. And as radical as that sounds, I think we've hit it on the nail. We've mastered it. We have completely new students who'll come, who'll start yoga with us, and they'll never go back to wherever they were going before, or that's it. They're stuck because they see the benefits. They understand the personal attention. So we don't do high volume students. We don't try to fit in as many as we can. We keep our classes small, max up to 25 students, and we try to give individual attention to every one of them. So, and on an app, we have ideas brewing in our head on how to go digital. But again, it's going to be a whole new transformation for the business. So it's slow and steady.
Yeah, no, indeed. I'm just trying to connect the engineer to the yogi here, figuring out if he's going to make a yogi app or not.
Yes. Stay tuned for something exciting.
Okay, right. So turning down a couple of gears, I want to go back and learn a little bit more about how your childhood was, right? Growing up in a house where you have, in a home actually, where you have trained an expert yoga teacher, your guru himself as your father. That I'm sure that would have been a different experience altogether than a lot of kids who, not all Indian parents are into.
You're right.
That's nothing to hide about. I cannot get my mom to walk a lot, so it's just something which all kids suffer. But so for you, it would have been different. So how was the upbringing? How was it different?
You're very right. So even now, my friends, when they visit home and they meet my dad, they'll always go back and say that, man, your dad has such a different aura. He's so calm and quiet. And I'm like, yeah, he's always been like that. Father has always been someone who literally eats, sleeps, walks, talks yoga. Okay, and nothing else. That's been his passion. And he doesn't even care about anything else in this world other than yoga. So growing up in that environment was very unique because I guess it's a part of my lifestyle too now. But the lifestyle while growing up, Dad used to wake up at 3 a.m. and practice till like 5:30 a.m. Then go teach yoga class at 6 a.m. And he started from teaching individual classes to group classes, and his growth and all, we grew with him. And his mentality was very different. As I told you earlier, he wasn't a business minded person, so he never pursued the money, right? It was literally, the business grew organically, everything grew organically, like students just came and we had to build capacity to take them. I guess I grew up with that influence as well, right? Even I'm not in it for the money. We do believe that our yoga is for changing people's lives. And I grew up reading philosophy, reading the Bhagavad Gita, reading, spiritual books. Like I remember when I was in my 7th grade, I think, and I was reading an autobiography of a yogi, which was, and everyone was surprised. They're like, "How are you reading this book?" And for some reason, I felt connected to that book even at that age. So a little more spiritual lifestyle is what we lived. That's why I guess when I moved out, everything changed. Right? Suddenly, I'm seeing these new perspectives. Suddenly, I'm seeing people partying and focusing on other things which I had. I knew of, but of course, there was no capacity to indulge in all of those. And maybe that's why I went away from yoga, but then realized that, no, this is who I am and I have to come back to it. So it's been an interesting ride being a part of a yoga family, definitely. I mean, our entire family does yoga. We have, solutions for everything through yoga. If you travel a lot, your legs are cramped up, okay, start doing some standing yoga poses. If you've been walking or standing a lot and your legs are hurting, sit in Vajrasana. We have each one of us in the family. So I have an elder sister as well, and all 4 of us, mom, dad, sister, and me, know what yoga to do when to solve life issues. So it's a very unique perspective, that's for sure.
That was quite a story, Rohit. That's almost like the bird who gets lost and then comes back home. So,
yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I guess you partied and then you realized, no, yoga is for me. Yoga is my life. So really,
you have to experiment, right? Step out of your comfort zone.
Really interesting to hear. What I'm really intrigued to learn, Rohit, here is one thing, because you mentioned how your dad had a lifestyle of waking up at 3 a.m. and then practicing till 5. What did the day look like for you guys as kids? And then what does the day look like right now for you as an adult?
Good question. So when we were younger, I guess my school started early at 7:30 a.m. So we used to wake up at 6 and get to school. School used to end early as well. By 1:30 we're done. So come back at 2 o'clock. So I was very young when I was in India. Right, so that's when I was living in this house, living with my parents. So that's all the memory I have of school days. And then come back, do yoga, finish off homework, play with friends, go to sleep by 8:30. I used to sleep a lot. I used to sleep at 8 p.m. and I'd wake up at 6 a.m. I was the only kid in class, I guess, who ever slept so many hours. Everyone used to be surprised. Sleeping 10 hours a day. And in Pune, we love our afternoon naps, actually. So whenever I could squeeze one in, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but in Pune, everyone loves siestas.
I've heard about it. In Pune, in Goa, the afternoon naps are really a thing of joy for people. And I think in summers, especially, I think it's just this story unfolds everywhere in India, even even in Delhi and everywhere else where people are at home. I mean, they love to take a nap, especially after the afternoon lunch or something like that. It's just the routine. So Rohit, I mean, what's interesting is, of course, when you said you came back from school and did yoga, because that's something which is not a very common practice across households, right? I mean, for us, it was more like, come back and then have a snack or something. For me, it was pretty interesting because my mom used to work. And so, when I was a kid, I had a very bad habit of not eating the home cooked meal and then always going for something. So when my mom used to leave for office, I used to cry and force her to give me like $5 or something, so that
Yeah.
when I come back from school, I can either buy myself a packet of Maggie or maybe some roadside snack or something. But later I realized that was a bad decision, and then of course I moved on to better things. But yoga was not a part of the lifestyle. I mean, that's what I'm coming to.
Right.
It was always like cricket or maybe some other sports, but cricket
Right.
more or less, right? So that's something very interesting. So has it been something which runs across your family? So as you said, your sister, your mom, your
Yeah.
relatives, is yoga a part of the family throughout?
Yes, yes. It's been, I mean, as I said, like dad eats, sleeps, walks, talks yoga. So it was a big, big part of growing up. Yes, I didn't indulge in much of sports as well. I actually did go for like training classes for many different types of sports, but never pursued anything beyond a certain limit as much as I pursued yoga. Probably genes have an effect there, in case, but it also comes in some ways. I mean, putting the genes aside, it comes from within that I want to do yoga. I want to do this. I want to learn this pose. I want to master this. It was always a childhood pursuit of doing Shirshasana, I guess, was like the first ever thing, of balancing in your head and on your head. And yeah, so I guess these were our goals, our physical activity goals. But again, we lived a very disciplined lifestyle then too. We had rules like, no TV when you're eating, focus on your food. And we had other rules, like we had fixed times for when you ate, absolutely fixed, and we still follow that even now. Actually, even with the TV, no TV while eating, I still follow that. We absolutely eat at the same time every day. It's a must. We sleep at the same time. That routine and that disciplined lifestyle has been ingrained in us since we were, kids.
So how does it look now, Rohit, with the startup and with the whole entrepreneurship and everything coming and running the institute by yourself as well? So how does the day look like right now?
So now my day starts. So during the weekdays, it's pretty much a routine. Okay, I live the same day again and again, or the same discipline, right? So mornings start at 4:45 a.m. for me. That's when my alarm rings. Okay, I wake up and I get ready for our first yoga classes at 6 a.m. That's the class which my father teaches. So, and I practice in that class as well. So 6 to 7, I practice yoga. Then 7 to 8, 8 to 9, these are 2 batches that I teach. These are all group yoga classes. Then 9 o'clock, I'm done with yoga. Then it's get ready and go to the office by 10:30, 11. So we have an office space and we are just 3 of us right now building this startup. We are very at the nascent stage. But yeah, we have a lot of things to do. So from 11 till 4, I'm working on the business, on the engineering business. Then 4:30, I have another yoga class. It's an odd time, but we have students from the US who wake up at that time, 6 a.m. in Central Time. So 4:30 to 5:30, I teach yoga. And then I'm technically done around 6 p.m. with my day. So 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday to Friday, I'm completely occupied. It's difficult for me to do anything else during that time. And I don't even want to do anything else during that time other than this. So after 6 p.m., it's usually, returning emails, phone calls. We are working with US clients. So that's when all the phone calls also happen.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I'm in bed by 9 p.m. By 9:30, I'm asleep. And again, the same cycle goes on.
That's amazing, man. That's good to know. I mean, hearing about days where people are running or let's say living different parts of life at the same time is always interesting to know. So Roy, tell me one thing, I mean, let's kind of changing the gear more towards yoga. You mentioned like even today you eat at the same time, you have a disciplined routine. So do these things actually have a lot of benefits when it comes to, lifestyle? I mean, eating at the same time. I'm not sure if this is something which comes with a lifestyle of yoga and a discipline.
But yeah, it does.
Okay, so in that case, what kind of benefits it has on people's and their life?
Yeah. So very good question. Okay, like yoga, in another word for yoga is discipline. Mm-hmm. Okay, in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the first line says Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Atha means now. Yoga Anushasana means like yogic discipline begins. Okay, so now begins the yogic discipline. Is how the book, the quintessential book of yoga starts. So yoga demands for a disciplined lifestyle. Okay, because again, as much as we focus on the physical aspect of yoga, the fitness, and the exercise aspect of it, there is also a spiritual component, a mental component, and this requires you to be at your top of energy levels throughout. You have to be a high performer, and to perform at that level of to perform high every single day, requires your body to be adjusted to a routine. It requires a discipline which gives you energy. Our bodies love routine. I don't know if you are a disciplined person yourself when it comes to day-to-day life, but if you're not, I would recommend trying it out. Just as soon as you establish a routine, your energy levels increase. You are so much more active. So like, I don't drink coffee or tea or any caffeine, just never needed it. And I'm able to function at my active best throughout. And I think this is all due to the routine, because the body knows exactly when to ask, when to crave for food, when to digest it, when I'm taking my rest. And it does demand a lot of hard no's, like friends would want to get together, in the middle of the week at night. And I'm like, sorry, I can't. I have to sleep. I have yoga in the morning. And now they've got used to it as well. And in fact, the best part is a lot of them have brought this discipline into their life, seeing me. And I think that's the best part of this right now, that people are seeing the value of this. And especially as we're getting older, I'll be turning 31 soon. And we are realizing now that our bodies are slowing down, and we need to focus on our health. So a routine, a discipline is an absolute must if you want to perform at your highest potential all the time.
That makes a lot of sense. And answering your question, Rohit, I have been on both sides of the spectrum, right from being very disciplined, especially before Zymrat. So before Zymrat happened, I used to be, I have not been more of a yoga guy, but always into more like running and then, going to the gym and doing strength training and all that. But there was always a routine which was fixed. And I used to go by numbers, let's say, all the calorie counting
Right.
it down to the macros and all that stuff. But then Zymrat happened. And once Zymrat happened, we were on a mission to do something which was not done yet in India. We want to do that very fast with amazing results. So there was definitely a compromise on levels of discipline that I had, not only for me, but for my co-founder, Ankita as well. But now, we have been, of course, blessed. We've been blessed to kind of have acquired a great team for us, build a great team for us. So now we're kind of getting back to it again. And you're right. I mean, as we grow older, the body definitely slows down and the impact of routine starts, reflecting then. For example, I've now started. So I've gone from waking up at 5 a.m. to waking up at 9 p.m. I have worked with US clients as well in the past. But now I'm pretty much at 6:30 and it just feels amazing. It just feels amazing, man. And you don't need alarm. That's the best part.
Yeah, true.
6:30 is just fixed and your body knows that you have to wake up at 6:30 and go about your day. It's just amazing. Right.
Yeah, everything in nature is very cyclical, isn't it? Everything follows a proper cycle. Right? The sun rises around the same time every day. The birds start chirping at the same time, like flowers bloom at the same time. We are a part of nature too. We can't be devoid of it, trying to, find our own way and our own lifestyle. We are a part of it. And the more we go back to it, the better we feel, is my take on it.
I want to learn a little bit more about yoga, Rohit, and for the viewers and the listeners and for you as well, full confession. I do wrong yoga and mobility. So I do a lot of mobility all the time, and I'm sure my yoga poses are out of the back. Probably I should join Dulal sooner than later and learn all the tricks. But what I want to learn, Rohit, is there are multiple names for yogas or forms of yoga, right? For example, there's Ashtanga and there is power yoga, then there is a hot yoga which comes with a lot of controversy behind it and all that stuff. So I mean, are they really the form of yoga, or is this something which is more commercialized and given by the industry?
Very good question. So I guess these are all different expressions of yoga coming from different teachers. So I guess the most common forms, the most popular forms are starting with Hatha yoga. Right? Hatha yoga is what we teach. Hatha is a very generalized term, meaning where your focus is more on, the yoga poses and mastering the asanas. It's a very generic term though. Okay, a lot of different styles, a lot of different teacher styles come under Hatha Yoga, including ours. Then there's Iyengar Yoga. Iyengar Yoga is all about precision and alignment. Okay, and we have to try to get into the perfect pose using tons of props. There are ropes hanging from walls. There are bricks that you use, to align yourself. There are belts that they tie around people's hands to get their hands in the right position. So Iyengar Yoga is all about getting into the perfect form. Then Ashtanga Yoga, or actually it is Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, which is Mysore style, taught in Mysore by another invented by this teacher called Pattabi Joyce. Is a very rigorous form of yoga. Okay, it's very intense. It's basically the same sequence, and there are levels to it: a primary, intermediate, advanced, and you have to master the entire sequence in a flow, and then you are able to move to the next level. It's extremely rigorous. Okay, you're all Ashtangis you'll see will be extremely slim. Okay, and then after that, from Ashtanga came up Vinyasa Yoga. Vinyasa, I guess, is the focus on the breath and the flow. Okay, Vinyasa style is where every yoga pose goes from one to another, and it's a flow. They all merge with each other in some way. This is extremely popular in the West. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I would say 95% of all yoga studios in the West teach Vinyasa flow. Okay, I don't know why it became so popular there, but it doesn't have a strict regimen as much, and it adapts well with the Western culture, Western mindset. And then through Vinyasa has come Power Yoga. Okay, Power Yoga is also based on this flow, but it's faster. It involves a lot of other activities. I think they mix some aerobics and gymnastics kind of exercises in it too. Power Yoga, I guess, was popularized in India by Kareena Kapoor, right? When she got her size 0 and she said Power Yoga is her secret. Now, again, there are many of these. Okay, I'm not saying all of these are good or all of these are bad, but some of these styles have kept the true nature of yoga. Okay, they've understood that yoga is not just a physical practice, and that building your physical body is the first step. And then after you build that physical stability, you go to your mental stability, breath control, emotional stability. And I'm giving you English terms for the Ashtanga path of yoga, or the 8 limbs of yoga, which was again defined by Patanjali. So these again. Oh, I forgot to mention hot yoga. Hot yoga is, of course, started by Bikram Chaudhary. Yep, good yoga teacher, but I don't know what happened to him. But he lost his way somewhere, I guess. But he's extremely popular in the US. Even now when he's banned from the country, he still hosts like extensive retreats in Mexico, and everyone from the US just goes down there. And in hot yoga, they're doing the same sequence of postures every day in a heated room. And all these schools clash against each other in their thought process. So, like, for example, we don't believe you need a heated room to do yoga. Okay, we believe that once you increase the movement, and your body automatically heats up, and you will be able to move. You will be able to get that mobility. The whole purpose of the heated room is to increase your mobility, and so you damage your muscles less. But that's possible. You just have to work harder without changing the environment, is what we believe in. Then again, Iyengar Yoga wants all kinds of props, right, to put you into the perfect form. We believe in not using any props at all. We believe that props are crutches that will stall your progress, rather than, that it won't be you pushing yourself further anymore. It'll be, yes, I need this support to get into the pose. So we avoid all of that. Then Ashtanga Yoga doesn't care about precision or form, but it cares about how well you're able to do the pose, how fast you can do it, and what's funny is the founder of Ashtanga Yoga, Guru Shri Pattabi Joyce, the founder of Iyengar Yoga, Sri BK Iyengar, they both were classmates at the same yoga school in Mysore, and both came up with these different styles of yoga, right? Completely different styles. So what that means is yoga can be adapted. Yoga can be expressed differently. Okay, and that's why I guess yoga is becoming so popular now, because everyone is able to express their way and people are able to connect with it in some form or the other. But how do you identify that which expression of yoga is true or is right for you, or it's true to its purpose? So I get this question a lot where people ask me, how do I know you are a good yoga teacher compared to someone else who's teaching something else? And the solution is simple. Just devote yourself for 1 month to whoever that teacher is. Okay, in 1 month, if you don't feel a transformation beyond physical, that yoga is not the right one. Again, this is, I guess, an advice I'd like to give everyone, that whoever your teacher is, just give yourself completely to them for 1 month. And you should feel something beyond physical in a month. Like you should feel either more confident or more happy, more settled, more peaceful, more stable. Physical benefits will come easily. You don't need to do yoga for that. There's a ton of other exercises and practices for it, right? But yoga is a little beyond that. And so that's my 2 cents on how to understand which style works for you and which style is good.
No, there's a lot to take from this. Number one, I mean, of course, you named a lot of these yoga styles and their benefits, and some controversial stuff as well. But then, and it's good to learn about them in the ways that, as you mentioned, for example, how the one that was invented in Mysore, it's Ashtanga, is very intense compared to, let's say, Hatha Yoga, what you guys teach. Yeah. But the benefits will, I would say, trespass each other, isn't it? I mean, if you're doing Hatha, and probably if you want to switch to, Ashtanga Yoga, probably the route will be easier, isn't it?
Yes. Every style has its own advantages and disadvantages. Great. I mean, you are more injury prone in Ashtanga. Everyone knows that. Even Ashtangis will guarantee that yes, injury is more possible, because you are supposed to do the same set of poses till you master it. Some people take a year, some people take 5 years. So imagine doing 5 years the same sets of poses. You are, constantly stressing out certain parts of your body, and there are people who are stuck for the entire life, just not unable to go past that. So, it is a more rigorous style.
And also, you rightly said, Rohit, is yoga in general is getting very popular, and we have seen that. Of course, there's a lot of push from the government itself, and somewhere in the line in the last few years. What we have seen is, of course, yoga has been extremely popular in the West, even compared to India. Like the way it has been commercialized or the way it has been popularized over media and all that stuff. But now we are back, I guess. We as a country are again catching up, because there's so many amazing yoga gurus and teachers and all that stuff. And there's also, I guess, because people, who are exposed to all the social media and media and everything else, or people who like to keep active, runners, lift, people who go to gym, they've also slowly started to realize the benefits. Like even if you lift weights, even if you, do long distance, that's stretching. Or let's say, people call it stretching, people call it flow, there are different kind of names for it. Without that stretching, without that flow and movement practice, let's say few times a week, whatever you're doing, whether it's running or whether it's lifting or whether it's, let's say, strength conditioning, powerlifting, bodybuilding, that is going to not be as efficient as it can be, because ultimately you are a human being. I think that is also one of the reasons why.
Very well said.
Yeah, people have started yoga is becoming more popular as we go forward. That's
very well said. Yep. I always tell my friends to, that do whatever you want. At the end of the day, you are going to come back to yoga. Remember that, and it's 100% accurate. Everyone, they'll do their running, they'll do their gym, they're lifting weights, they'll all come back to yoga.
I've been there. I'm telling you. So I go to gym. I have always loved running and lifting weights, both these things. Right. So there's a movement in the gym. This is called deadlift. Now people wear belts to protect their backs and all that. When they are lifting these heavier weights. Now, the key to actually do it in a better way, to have your mobility in check, the way how much your spine can bend, how much you can hinge without actually breaking the posture. And all yoga movements and mobility movements, they help insanely. they are amazing. I mean, all these movements, they keep you agile, mobile, and
Yep.
then you can go to the gym and do all your movements without
Yeah.
without the essential need to, let's say, wear additional equipments like a belt or something. With and the injury, the prone to becoming injured, that also kind of reduces
Yeah.
with yoga. And I have been a firm believer in at least doing some kind of stretching, mobility, or yoga movements at least few times a week. Now,
Yeah.
coming back to one of the things that you said, Rohit, while you were talking at length about yoga and types of yoga, is when you mentioned, Ashtangis have a very lean physique, right? So now that's where my question is coming from. There could be, I would say, a little bit of inherent belief in a lot of people that yoga may not be as efficient in, let's say, losing weight or being lean. Do you want to break that myth for people right now on this video?
Yes, yes, I'd love to. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes. So honestly, movement is the best way to lose weight, right? You have to move, you have to burn more calories than you put in, right? And a lot of yoga that's being taught outside is slow and is more of stretching, right? And of course, the teacher's pedigree comes into play for this as well, because going slow and only keeping stretching exercises keeps your students safe. Your liability reduces now once you start, from a teacher's perspective, once you start giving people easy classes. But there are yoga styles which are intense, which are rigorous. So ours, even though we focus on form and precision, we are pretty intense too. Okay, our yoga style actually is considered to be as or close to Ashtanga. Okay, because we do make our students work. We push them, right? Once in a week, we'll do 108 Surya Namaskars in class, and we ask our students to do it within 20 minutes. Okay, we don't give them the entire hour to do 108. And our Surya Namaskars involve jumps, and it's not just one leg at a time and stuff like that. It is possible to lose weight through yoga. Just need to find that right style again. There is that intensity that you require to burn calories, to lose weight, and it's possible. Definitely possible through yoga.
No, dude. I mean, some of the movements are super intense. I'm not.
Yeah.
I may not be able to pronounce them properly, or may not even know the names. But moves like when you go into side planks, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the way you go into that or transition into that movement from a warrior pose or something, it's like that whole transition. Because I tried that after following a couple of YouTube videos.
Right.
It's as hard as it gets. It's equally hard as what you would do in, let's say, in a push-up, pull-up, or some kind of weightlifting. So I think, and even when it comes to, let's say, building muscles, I'm sure there are yogis on social media and everywhere else who have a very, very well-built physique just by doing yoga movements and all that. So I'm sure the intensity can be achieved by doing different forms.
Yoga muscle building is difficult through yoga. Okay, I mean, you can definitely become lean. Okay, you can get lean muscle, but you can't bulk up with yoga, right? Because muscle building requires, it gets harder and harder for it to, muscle fibers have to get harder for them to grow. But in yoga, you're stretching them, you're releasing them all the time. So it's counterproductive actually. If you want to build muscle and doing yoga doesn't work. But definitely it'll help in recovery. It will help in, balancing any, muscle. When you focus on just a few muscle growths, I'm sure you know this, it causes a lot of restriction in mobility, right? Because there'll be cramping up in just those areas, and that's where yoga will help to settle out that imbalance. But just through yoga, bulking up, not possible. I don't think so.
No, you're right. I mean, of course, that the whole, and I think that also, that aspiration to bulk up into a bigger human being, overall, it's still there. But also, it's kind of, a lot of people are realizing that may not be something which is sustainable, right? So that lean muscle, lean muscle, or having that lean physique where at least you're able to lift your own body weight,
Yes.
somewhere, either on the ground or, while you're climbing somewhere else. So that's where most of the people are focused right now. And that is again one of the reasons why I guess yoga is also becoming very popular. I think I pretty much know every single person that I know in my circle does some form of yoga. Now again, the names
Brilliant. Yeah, sure.
the names could be, it could be stretching, it could be mobility work, it could be flows, but they all of them do some kind of yoga at least a few times for sure. Now, one more thing, which you mentioned really well, Rohit, and I wanted to cover that is the part of the yoga being beyond the physical fitness and physical experience, right? So how is that connected? How yoga connects according to you with the mental well-being? And also, I wanted to learn from you is, do you think or do you believe with your father, having so many years of experience, is there an inherent relation between yoga and meditation?
So let's tackle the first one about yoga and mental and the mind relation. So psychology and science calls yoga, tai chi, meditation, all of these mind-body interventions, right? Where because there's a psychophysiological effect to it, that you change your physiology and there's an effect on your psyche, and it's plenty of research has been proven how yoga and these other Eastern practices affect us mentally, and how, there have been studies which show how the cerebral blood flow to the front of your brain, which focuses on attention and focus, that increases in long-term yoga practitioners compared to non or short-term yoga practitioners. These all established Western studies, of course. Most of these studies, they get funded there to do all these studies well. So almost all the research comes from the West. Then there's also proven that there's a neurotransmitter in our brain called GABA. Okay, it has a very complex. It is an acronym, of course. It stands for something very complex. What GABA does is it attaches to the synapses of the neurons in our brain to slow down the movement of information. Okay, so it slows down signals between nerve cells, and they found out that with research and MRI scans of yoga practitioners, that the GABA levels were higher among them compared to non-yoga practitioners. So what that meant was your ability to focus and the potential to be distracted decreased among these people. Okay, they were able to get more clarity, and that clarity led to more peace, more mental comfort. More. I have references to all these papers, by the way. I'd be more than happy to share them with you when whoever wants to read these. But so a lot of Western science has proven the psychological benefits of yoga. And now this is a great segue into our next question on what is the spiritual side then, right? And meditation, where does that come from? Now here, Western science, we've hit its limits. Okay, Western science believes in reason and building on one thing to another and breaking things down basically, whereas the yoga and the Eastern mindset is an whole all-inclusive thought process. We as engineers also have studied the Western scientific method of analyzing life, of understanding life, but the yogic perspective of life is completely different. You don't break things down to understand the bigger picture. You start with the bigger picture, then come down to small. Yoga asana is meant to be a precursor for meditation. Okay, you are first supposed to be able to control your body and your body energies before you can start focusing on your mind. Okay, so according to Ashtanga's path, between yoga, asana and meditation, there is breath control or pranayama. So first you control your body, learning that. After that, you learn to control your breath. After controlling your breath, you learn to control your mind. Okay, and again, it said yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Chitta means mind, vritti is like mental fluctuations, nirodha means to end. So the purpose of yoga is to end mental fluctuations. Again, this correlates to the study of increased GABA neurotransmitter, which reduces So I enjoy connecting our ancient spiritual knowledge to what Western science is catching up with right now. The meditation concept is very real, but again, now I'll tell you a very unique thought process of our yoga school. Okay, so we don't teach meditation, and the reason is simple, because it takes years for a person to be ready for meditation. Okay, a lot of schools will tell you to just sit and focus, and or empty your mind, but it's practically impossible to empty your mind until and unless you've reached a certain level of balance in your life, balance in your energies. So till then, we are just fooling around trying to meditate, is what we believe. So that's why we first focus completely on asana. Then intermittently, we will teach pranayama and breath work, because again, pranayama is also incredibly difficult, right? We're supposed to focus only on our breathing and nothing else. And I'm yet to see a class in which, when we're doing pranayama, when we're sitting and breathing for doing breathing exercises for 40 minutes, I'm yet to see people not move or not fidget. Okay, because the minute you've moved, that's it, the essence of your exercise is gone. Because the whole process is to calm down your nervous system and you focus only on your breathing. But even a small finger movement, even a small toe movement is a nervous system stimulation, right? The essence is gone. So asana prepares you for pranayama, pranayama prepares you for meditation, and it's a very uphill journey. Some of us will reach there in our lifetime, some of us won't, is our perspective.
So this seems like a very core part of what you guys teach at the Tulal Institute, right? Tell me, Rohit, one thing very interesting. I mean, probably something which cannot be demonstrated, but maybe you can tell us in theory. So let's say when you talk about pranayama, right? So, but how to? I mean, does that also include techniques or ways to breathe properly, and how important it is overall, for day to day, let's say health, or having that energy throughout the day and all that.
Very, very good question, Ujjwal. And considering the fact that there's a pandemic that's affecting our respiratory system, I think this question is extremely relevant. Yes, most of us are shallow breathers, right? We don't focus on our breathing at all. And the amount of, breathing has an immense effect on how we function, okay? Including something as simple as focusing on what you want to do, right? Like snipers, when they shoot far distances, right? Just before they, pull the trigger, they're supposed to exhale. Did you know that, right? Have you heard of that? Right? It's very common. Why? Because our entire body stills at that point of time, right? There's no involuntary movement. So breathing has an immense control on our nervous system. Yes, pranayama is the way to learn that, is the way to master that. I guess the first way to start is just to learn to breathe better, and that involves correct posture. The more people sit slouched or, bending, you're compressing your lungs, you've reduced your capacity to breathe, right? And that affects, of course, your ability to focus, your ability to concentrate, and it's all a cycle. So once that posture opens up, your chest opens up, you start feeling your lungs within you. It's an immense feeling, that's where the entire energy comes from, according to me, for, going through your day. Great question. I wish people could focus more on their breathing, but it's difficult because it's an involuntary process, right? Our brain's already hardwired to breathe.
Right.
We can only tune it. We can't, actually focus on our breathing and keep focusing on it and not do anything else.
No, but you're right. I mean, I think, of course, very relevant question, as you said, right now with all the pandemic in picture. Just want to quickly go back to the whole, meditation and mental side of things, Rohit. How has it your entire lifestyle of being a yogi and let's say at least practicing yoga throughout your life? How has it helped you personally with your let's say focus or determination or efficiency in professional life, because you run a business, you are an entrepreneur. you deal with clients. I'm sure there are stressful situations every now and then. So how has yoga helped you transcend through that?
So yoga, again, I guess, is my stability, right? It keeps me. I mean, honestly, I'm very satisfied with life, to tell you the truth, in my general satisfaction, and I see that missing in a lot of people, and maybe that's why I am more at peace, or like I don't get angry much, or I hardly ever get angry. Sometimes I have to act like I'm angry so I can get my students to do stuff, but otherwise, it's I don't get that frustration. Again, the high energy levels keep me on task. I'm finishing up my work as and when it comes. So yoga has literally given me the energy, the focus, the calmness and the stability to work on the professional side of things. In fact, I can even claim that I became a better communicator because of yoga. After I had practiced yoga so much and I'd gone, like my focus was only on me and my improvement, and I was, on this journey of self-awareness through yoga. Once I came out of it, I realized that I could express myself way better than I ever could before. And again, maybe this is just simply because of the clarity that came in my life on who I am, what I want, what my values are. That became very clear through yoga. Because again, it's all journey within you, journey to you, and that is, I guess, plays a big role in your professional life. I'm sure that is the difference between. I'm sure you must be seeing high performing employees compared to those who are not or who are sluggish. Is the fact that high performers really know what they want. They know what their values are. Yeah, that is the effect of yoga for me. That it's helped me identify what I value. So now I pursue it 100%.
No, I definitely agree there, man. I mean, telling a little bit of personal story there, of course, not exactly related to yoga, but overall to, physical activity. The phase of life which I have lived before. So growing up, it was mostly cricket and, a little bit of running here and there with friends, maybe sometimes basketball, but no serious physical activity as such. I mean, that's a true story of all the 90s kids, right? That's how, at least in our household and in my friend circle. But then once I grew up, I grew up overweight. And then once I started losing weight with running and all that stuff, the phase of life, and more than anything related to physical change in the body, the change in or the discipline, the focus which came with the physical activity, whether it's in the form of hormones or the feeling or a lot of other things. I'm sure there are a lot of scientific things happening back in the head, which we do not always talk about, but there are a lot of things happening. That phase in life before physical activity, seriousness in physical activity, and the phase after is just uncomparable. And even today, man, I mean, not every day on a day-to-day life. Let's say the time of the day before, let's say going through a mobility session, intense mobility session, or a gym session, or a quick run session, the time before in the day and time after, it just worlds apart. So when you say that it helps you have more clarity, focus, and the value, I am on the same page. I think it just, at least in my case personally, it just helps me kind of do things better and win things. And of course, handle situations. Exactly. That angry part that you mentioned, amazing, man. I mean, I think if it was not for physical activities in the world, there would be many more angry people out there.
Yeah, definitely. Makes sense. Yep.
So Rohit, quick question, around similar kind of things which we have been talking about. So now you talked about your discipline, how you have, how we were brought in a household of discipline and yoga. Yeah, you run business and all that, and you yourself run institute of yoga. You teach people. Now, how does food come into everything? I mean, because whenever you talk about lifestyle, discipline, physical activity, everything, I think food plays one of the biggest roles, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what does it look like for you, on a day-to-day basis?
I'm a very simple eater. I love home cooked food more than anything, especially living outside of home for 13 years. I feel privileged to be eating at home now, and I believe in eating in moderation, and I skip breakfast. Maybe I'll eat a banana or a small snack, but otherwise I don't eat breakfast. It's lunch and dinner only for me. I don't snack in between. And Lunch again is literally the same thing almost always. It's either two rotis or a bhakri. Do you know what a bhakri is?
Not
Jawar.
sure.
Jawar.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just more healthy, right? And I'm mostly vegetarian, but in fact, a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was 100% vegetarian. It was an experiment that I was doing, and now I'm experimenting in another way again. Trying to indulge in non-vegetarian food every now and then. But again, I don't eat for the tongue; I eat for the body. But so that's the reason why I eat everything in moderation. At night, I hardly eat anything. It's a very, very small, just a little bit of rice and dal. That's my nutrition. It's home cooked food, simple food, nothing too complex. Yeah.
I'm very intrigued about learning what it looks like for your dad and your father, because he is the man.
Same. It's the same food. Yep, he eats like exactly like this too.
And there is any specific reasons why you guys chose to be, let's say, vegetarian for the longest time? You said you just started eating non-veg food, but before that, you were vegetarian.
Yeah, dad is a vegetarian since ages because of yoga, I guess. For me, I stumbled across this documentary on Netflix about how becoming vegetarianism increases your athletic abilities, right? So Virat Kohli apparently is vegetarian, Roger Federer is vegetarian, and all these other like high performing athletes are vegetarian. So I wanted to put that to a test, and that's why I went ahead for like 3 months, and then I loved it so much I just stuck with it for like a year and a half, 2 years. But now that I'm here, now my mom controls my diet. So now she's like, eat this. So now I indulge it.
I guess same story everywhere, man. You have to ask every single guy who wants to live that lifestyle, wants to eat his protein. But then when mom cooks the biryani, you cannot help it, right?
Yes, there you go. You hit it on the nail. The biryani is where all diets go to die.
Okay, Rohit. So before we wrap up this conversation, I want to quickly ask you one thing. And for those, for those who are listening or watching this video, I want to tell you that Rohit recently recovered from COVID-19. I know he beat it to death. He kicked COVID-19's ass, and then he's back. So how was it like? What happened, Rohit? How did you catch it, and how was the journey?
Yeah. So I caught COVID. I guess I had like intense fever one day, and I knew it was COVID because the way I felt was I'd never felt before. And I've been reading about the symptoms, and I felt the exact same thing: fever and weakness, and muscles were hurting, especially the ones that I used a lot in my yoga. Like my shoulders and my back, and so I got myself tested. It was positive, of course, and immediately, like because I already knew I was isolating myself from my family, they tested negative right away, so that was good. So then I just completely stayed in this room in isolation for 2 weeks. The first 4 days, but the fever started decreasing right away in like 2 days, and then I had some weakness for like 4 days. After that, though, I started teaching yoga classes again. I wasn't practicing as much as I did normally, but I was only teaching yoga classes all online, 100% online at this point. And this was just before the lockdown in Pune. And then anyways, the lockdowns happened this week. Everything is shut. So my classes which were going on online are continuing online. And now I am fine. I guess it took me 5 days, I guess, to recover. In 5 days, I'm back to normal. I'm doing as much intensity yoga as I was doing before. I'm like 100% like recovered. I don't feel anything. Even the few scans that were done from my chest and some blood tests that my doctor had prescribed, seeing the reports, he was like, it's a very mild infection. And that's what I felt. And that's what COVID is supposed to be for approximately 80 to 81% of the world. COVID is just supposed to be a passing flu, a mild passing flu. It's only those who have any morbidities, they are the ones getting affected a lot, and this virus just spreads easily. So, yeah.
I'm sure yoga and all the physical activity helped you a lot as well, man. Rohit, in this. Yeah. Okay, so before we wrap up the show, Rohit, if people want to reach out to you or learn more about, Dulan Institute and then probably join one of the yoga classes, how can they do so?
So Instagram, we are very active on Instagram. Vinod Dulal Yoga Institute, one word. You can look for us there. You can look for my personal handle on Instagram, Rohit Dulal, just my name. Facebook and even our website. I think the easiest way to find us, if you're not able to find us anywhere, is to just type Vinod Dulal Yoga in Google and it will come up. And you're welcome to reach out in any mode of communication. We are always actively listening to our clientele.
That was amazing, Rohit. I thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you, man, and learned more about yoga. And I'm very, very inclined to actually learn yoga more professionally with a teacher than before. It was really nice talking to you, Rohit. Thank you.
Likewise, Ujjwal. Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you, Rohit. All right, guys. Thank you for being with us and watching this show and listening to Rohit and me talk about things, yoga and healthy lifestyle. Do check out other videos on our YouTube channel as well. We have been talking to some really interesting folks like Rohit on our YouTube channel, and the videos are live now. And as always, don't forget to check out Zymrat.com for some cool products. I'll see you again in the next episode. Bye.